Alright, good day everyone. I am Mr. Jerby J. Daronday, the reporter of Group 2. So today we will be talking about coping with stress in the middle and late adolescence. I know that we are familiar with stress. It is common for us students, especially in this new normal situation. We are stressed maybe because we have a lot of tasks or activities to do with our modules. Family problems, conflict with friends, boyfriend or girlfriend. So there are a lot of things that would make us stress. Today's discussion, I will discuss to you on how to cope with stress and how to deal with it and to know the causes and effects of stress in our life. So after with this discussion, we are expected to understand mental health and psychological well-being to identify ways to cope with stress during adolescence, identify causes and effects of stress in one's life, and to demonstrate personal ways in coping with stress and maintain mental health. Stress is a feeling of emotional or physical tension. It can come from any event or thought that makes you feel frustrated, angry, or nervous. In general, stress is a reaction of the mind and the body to a stimulus that disturbs the well being or equilibrium of a person. Meaning, before we felt those challenges, we are not that stressed. But ever since you started experiencing the challenge in your life, you are more stressed than ever. For example, your life is less stressed when we are in quarantine, but when we started attending online classes, then we feel the stress because we need to do the task, we need to answer many activities and create projects. And stress is not just the reaction of the mind, but it is also the reaction of the body. Because when we feel the stress, we will become weak and tired. We feel that our body is weaker than the normal. We feel that we are not so physically capable. That's why athletes who are exposed to a lot of games, they need to rest from time to time. So in order to preserve their energy, they need to rest or to choose not to play. And that is the way of protecting themselves. So for us students, we need to learn how to manage our time so that we can avoid stress. And instead of being stressed, we can enjoy answering modules with less stress. So how can we know that we are stressed? How can we identify that we are having that stress? To identify that, there are signs that we use to know that we are stressed. First is our behavior. This include withdrawal from friendship groups or activities that the adolescent usually enjoys. Seemingly nervous, sleeping too much or too little, eating more comfort foods, eating less, wanting to be by herself or himself more than usual, and behaving differently in relationship with parents, for example, and suddenly not talking to you. So that is the behavioral signs that we use to identify that we are stressed. Second, it must also manifest some emotional changes, such as being cranky or moody, feeling sad, down or hopeless, feeling worthless, finding it hard to relax or switch off, getting angrier more than usual, feeling sad, a feeling that nothing is going right, and on an emotional roller coaster ride. Subsequently, there are also physical signs of stress, such as feeling sick, for example, headaches, shoulder pains, stomach aches, jaw pains, not being hungry, feels more tired than usual, even if she's getting enough sleep, losing or gaining weight, getting frequent colds and infections, having panic attacks, dizzy spells, and fast breathing. Furthermore, stress can also affect the mental and thinking state of the teenagers. Changes such as finding it hard to concentrate and stay focused, losing the thread of thoughts or conversations, having trouble remembering things, making snap decisions or errors in judgment, having trouble organizing and planning or making decisions, and getting confused or irrational are observed among stressed people. And now let's move on to the different ways in viewing stress. First is stress as a stimulus. So what is stimulus? When we say stimulus, these are changes in the environment that brings about a response. For example, when you feel it's cold, then it's a stimulus that signals you to protect yourself from the cold temperature. So same goes with stress. It may be caused by situations that may be life-threatening or life-changing. So not all stress are products of life-threatening situations. Sometimes we can also be stressed by life-changing situation. For example, you are happy because you are qualified for the job and you are one of the employee of the company. But after it, you will face a lot of new challenges that you may experience difficulty in doing the tasks. And those stimuli from the environment are those what we call stressors. So it is important for us to identify the stressors that make you feel stress. Other than that, stress is the way the body reacts to challenging situations. So, in this perspective, we view stress as a reaction to a challenging situations, and that can be physical and that can also be psychological. For example, there will be an exam tomorrow, so you need to study over time because there are a lot of lessons that you need to study so that you can answer the questions in the exam. So you stress yourself for the way you do for the way you do the activity, and because of that, the body reacts to challenging situation. So we respond by trying to adapt, by trying to change our performance so that we can deal with stress. Take note that the stress hormone is known as cortisol. It's normal for you to have elevated cortisol from time to time. However, it's not healthy to be exposed to stress for a long period of time because it may result to a permanent brain damage. For example, there's a mental health condition called PTSD, that is post-traumatic stress disorder. For example, there is a child that is kidnapped by the kidnappers. Then he experienced or she experienced the situations, and that situations will bring to the child a brain disorder, even though he or she is no longer in the situation, but he can still remember his her experiences as if it's happening in the present. He or she will have elevated amounts of cortisol, resulting to permanent brain damage, but particularly in the hippocampus, that is part of the brain in charge of memory and learning. So we don't want to be exposed to stress for an extended amount of time. So we need to learn how to manage the stress. So now, let's move on to the causes of stress. First, main cause of stress is the frustration. Everyday frustration causes stress to build up. Everyone should try to calm down at all times, even if you can easily or hardly gets frustrated. Why? Because frustration causes stress to build up, and stress can give us illness. So to lower your stress, you should try to not to get frustrated at all times. But if you ever feel frustrated, Try to calm down as much as possible so that you can solve the problems or the things that causes you to frustrate. This is one of the examples that can cause frustration. Another one is not keeping promises. People who cannot keep their promises can cause frustration to the person who kept the promise with, like, for an example, you guys plan to go into vacation, then he said, sorry, I can't go, we have a work I have a work to do. That can give frustration to the people who he kept his promise with. And the third one is the problem in our personal life can be devastating. Problems in personal life can cause extreme stress to people. For an example, you don't have the money to pay for the bills, or your partner in life wants to break up with you. These types of examples can cause stress. That's why ever a problem like this arose, it's best to seek help of your friends, families, and other people who is considered to be your friend, because this type of problems can cause others to suffer in a big amount of time, much worse, suicide. And the fourth cause of stress is the dealing with life transition. Life is full of transitions, right? Some of these are the normal part of your life, such as getting married, buying a home, a child going off to school, a teenager heading off to college, or simply growing older. But sometimes life throws in forced transitions: death, divorce, losing a job, health problems, having to care for a sick or elderly relative. While all transitions can be stressful, the unplanned ones tends to cause the most stress, leaving us feeling unprepared for what is to come, frightened or vulnerable. And here are the main causes of stress in adolescence: peer pressure, having a boyfriend or a girlfriend, conflict within the relationships, peer rejection, pressures of school, moving to a new home and school, tests and homework, too much expectations, sports and other extracurricular activities, and so on as follows. So if there are causes of stress, and also there will be the effects of stress. So here are the effects of stress in the adolescents: depression, unassertive, overly dependent, excessive reassurance seeking, ineffective problem solving, long term cognitive deficits, self criticism, social withdrawal, pessimism, weak relationships, school phobia, poor grades in school, inattentiveness, weakened immune system, and the most, I think it is the most relevant effect of stress, or as follows in the depression, is suicide. So, if you don't want to die, just learn to manage stress, learn to deal with it, and learn to cope with stress. So now let's look at to the levels of stress. As we can see in the picture, when you are not yet stressed, you are calm. Sometimes you are bored, sometimes you are excited. But if you are excited, that it means that you are entering the stress threshold. For example, you have a game, or you're going to work out in the gym, then you are excited. And now, when you are working out, for example, when you are now running, or when you are swimming, or you are in exam, at first you feel energized, you feel focused, or you feel challenged. And that's what we use stress, or positive level of stress. That is why there are people who are proud that they were able to conquer their stress, and it makes them a better person, because not all type of stress are bad. Sometimes stress is there to challenge us and to make us better. However, if you're exposed to prolonged stress, then that's no longer good because that's no longer eustress, but rather it's distress. And when we say distress, that characterized by fatigue, you are tired, exhaustion, and burnout. And we don't want people to experience burnout specifically in school or at work, because if you experience burnout, you are not just tired of what you're doing, you also lose interest in your career or at school. For example, you no longer want to go to work because you feel tired. You feel what we call burnout, and we don't want you to experience that. Now let's talk about stressors. Stressor is a chemical or biological agent, environmental condition, external stimulus, or an event seen as causing stress to an organism. Psychologically speaking, a stressor can be events or environments that individuals might consider demanding, challenging, and or threatening individual safety. So it means that stressors are events or conditions in our surroundings that may trigger stress. And here are the common stressors: school demands or so many requirements, or selecting a school or college. That is why we need to study personal development so that we will know what career we want to achieve, or what are the courses or what is the course that will fit to our personality. Also, we have separation anxiety. For example, we have to study somewhere else, but our parents are in another location. If you are an adult, you would think that your child will be separated from you for a long period of time. That is very stressful. That's why people get homesick. And also, you are stressed for romantic relationship or lack of relationship. Here another common stressor, family expectations. For example, your family expect that you are the first honor of the class. So you need to aim to the top. You need to work hard. You need to study more. You pressure yourself for that expectations so that their expectations will meet. We also have health concerns or body concerns, also social life, and bullying. And that are the common stressors in the late and middle adolescence. So to let you understand easily about coping with stress, let me show to you the stress bucket. So basically, all of us, we have our own stress buckets. Some of us, our buckets are empty, but for most of us, our buckets are almost full. But some of us are able to deal with the stress and make it manageable. So look at this. What fills our stress bucket? That can be interpersonal stress, for example, our friends, academic stress, or environmental stress. For example, you are struggling to focus in your studies because the people you're living with do not allow you to have time for yourself to study. So this is our stress level, the water of our bucket. In order for us to manage it, we need to use the faucets at the bottom, and we call them coping skills. In other words, we need to learn on how to use with coping skills so that we are able to release some stress from our body to reduce the amount of water or stress. However, sometimes we are dealing with too much stress that our coping skills are not enough, so we make use with unhealthy faucet or unhealthy coping skills. And these are skills that may be drugs, excessive use of alcohol, sexual activities, pornography, gambling, and more. You just think that they make you happy, but in reality, you are unhappy. And this behavior are leading to more stress or leading to more problems. As we can see in the bucket, the unhealthy coping skills or the faucet at the top, the water of it returns to the bucket. So the water represents the stress. So it is just useless. So how to cope with stress? It is very important for us to have time or to get enough time for sleep after doing assignments, activities, and hanging out with friends. It can be hard to get enough sleep, especially during school days. Ideally, adolescents must get at least 9 hours of sleep every night. However, there is a need to cut back watching TV or engaging in a lot of screen time in the evening to maximize the change sleeping soundly. Second, focus on your strength. Focus on your time thinking about the things that you are good and find ways to do more of those things. If you are good in dancing, you might as well as volunteer as dance tutor in your school. Focusing on your strengths will help you keep your stresses in perspective. The third one is to engage in physical activity. The most effective stress reliever or busters is your physical activity. Engage in any physical activities you enjoy and build them into routine. For example, if you love playing volleyball and if you are tired of answering or solving problems, then you just get the ball and play volleyball. It's easy. And the fourth one is to do things that make you happy. I think that this is the most important ways in coping with stress. Do whatever you like or love to do. Your hobbies or just listening to music. It relaxes you to or seeing movies, watching movies or anything which you may find interesting and relaxing. And number five is to talk to someone. Talk to your friends or anyone whom you feel comfortable with or trusted adults. It helps you manage your stress. There are those who felt relief when they had shared their stories to trusted friends and adults. And the last one is to eat nutritious food because nutritious food is not just helping your body but also it helps your mind. It helps you to have a healthy mind. If we eat nutritious food, then less stress, we feel happy, and we are productive every day. And that is the end of the lesson. I hope that you understand it well and you will apply it to yourself as part of our personal development. Thank you.